the end of the day, big or small, all we're trying to do is provide for our families. You know, some people, they're really high on grass-fed or whatever. I love my TMR for my cows, super consistent. I get really good production. There's different ways that you can do a pasture-based system. This is the free stall, so the cows are free to roam around. I might get crap for this, but like 45 cow dairies aren't gonna feed the world anymore. Like we have to have efficiencies that they have great efficiencies that I just can't have at my scale. We work together good as a team. Like I deal with anything with a heartbeat, so whether it's animals or HR, that's me, and he fixes everything I break.
Why you prefer a freestall system over like a pasture-based system where if they're not being milked, they go out into the field. Why do you prefer this system? Okay, so you're Jess,
Yep.
and you're Jer,
Yeah.
and this is Sunset View Creamery. You guys have been doing this for a long, long time. Lots of family history here. Tell me a little bit about like what got started and where we're at.
In 1905, my great-great-grandfather's family moved from Elmira, which is probably 15 minutes 15 miles that way, give or take, 10 or 15. Walked the entire herd up here, settled here. I think the houses in the barn were existing here, the main barn were existing here, and then they, have grown from there. In 2004, we started making cheese for the first time.
What caused that shift?
The late 90s, the line of thinking was you either had to go big or get specialized, and we weren't really interested in growing our milking herd that much. My mother started making cheese at the house, got better at it, took a few classes, and then we were in the middle of a project for soil and water conservation, and it just worked out to be able to run all of our plumbing and lines and start the next phase of the plan.
We've actually downsized our herd numbers.
Yeah.
Because of the cheese.
Yeah, since we started making cheese, we're down probably 25 cows less than we were when we were just milking and shipping milk.
So how many cows do you have right now?
We milk, I put 39 through the parlor this morning. Right now I got about 5 or 6 dry, so
Okay.
I always tell everybody we're around 45 milk cows. I like to show heifers, so
Okay.
we have a little bit more than 45 young stock too.
Okay.
And I have a couple of pets that you can meet if you want, but
Sure.
they're just kind of pasture pets basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of, I love the idea that you said that you had to get big or specialized. I hadn't heard that part. I've heard get big or get out,
Yep,
right? And even then now recently stay small and stay in.
yep.
But get big or specialized, I hadn't heard that one. And as we were driving here, right down the road, there's a dairy farm that's got, I don't know, 1,000 cows?
3,000.
3,000
Yeah.
cows milking. I mean, that was a huge farm. I love that the milk is able to differentiate you that drastically, that they're milking 3,000 cows. You're milking 40. You're able to sustain your business that way.
We do take advantage of having a farm that size close by. Sometimes there's some products that we need that they can get cheaper because of the bulk that they buy it in. But 2012, the equipment needed updating, the fuel costs were ridiculous, so we started looking at how we were doing things, and we made a deal with them to buy all of our milking herd feed. So every day we go down there, pick up our feed for the day, bring it back, dump it into the commodity bin, and feed half at night and half in the morning.
It's actually what my father-in-law is doing right now. I don't know if you can see the trailer over there. It's hard to
Okay.
see our
So
camera,
we,
but he went down to grab our feed. So at 10 o'clock every day, somebody goes down, grabs our feed, and brings it back. And it's been a good symbiotic relationship. I mean, we get top-notch feed. I pay for it, but my cows they're milking like crazy on a 45 cow dairy that I can compete with the big guys on my milk production with no problem that a lot of really small guys can't, and I don't have the equipment costs.
Can we expand on that a little bit? Because I think that is a really amazing relationship that you're able to have where typically, and maybe I shouldn't even say typically, but it almost seems common that the small guys and the big guys butt heads and usually aren't friends. And you guys are able to really say, hey, we're neighbors. Let's share. Let's make sure that we're all just out here feeding people, right? Isn't that the goal?
That's exactly what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, big or small, all we're trying to do is provide for our families. And, we have a way smaller family footprint than they do up there. It's just different. There's room for us all. Like, I might get crap for this, but like 45 cow dairies aren't going to feed the world anymore. Like, we have to have efficiencies that they have great efficiencies that I just can't have at my scale, you know, and that's okay. But like, I make really great cheese.
So while we're making our way there, you said that your family that's working here isn't very big. Is that because that's the family that's chosen to work here, or because that's all that there is? You just have a small family?
So Jer and I bought the farm outright. I guess we're on our second year of just us. Probably, I think it was 2016 when I kind of took over the herd management aspect of the cows.
2016, 2017.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I can't give you a firm date. I was trying to think of it this morning. Anyway, I had some cows, and I just kind of, his father-in-law was ready to step away a little more, so I just took over the herd management part. I think in 2019, we said, okay, this is really what we're going to do. So we had to figure out how we were going to do it, and I knew I personally didn't want to farm in partnership in a prior life. I was an ag banker, and then I was an agricultural consultant, and did a lot of family transition stuff, and it was just easier to just buy it outright and have it be done. So for us, that's what we did. We finished it up, hired a good planner to help us, and got through the tough conversations.
Did that transition go relatively smoothly? I mean, I met your father-in-law, your dad, and he seems very happy to be semi-retired. He calls himself retired, but he says that he's, still working. So did that transition go smoothly? Is that something you guys are okay talking about?
I think it went as smooth as it could go.
Yeah, I mean, it did go really well. There's always the transition of, I call it the transition of power of, his decisions to our decisions. And even that's gone pretty well, because he went through the same thing with his father. He owned it, and he still had to get the decision-making power away from him. So, but it's gone really well. There's no.
I think probably the best thing is, like, I don't know, we work together good as a team. Like, I deal with anything with a heartbeat. So whether it's animals or HR, that's me, and he fixes everything I break.
I love that. That is a really good team. Like, what is it? So then heartbeats and engines?
Yeah.
Basically.
I love it. I love it.
I can run a tractor, but don't ask me to fix it too much past. Sometimes I have to like phone a friend if he's busy and I can't get a hold of him. I have a friend that I grew up with, and I'll send him a message or something, and I'll be like, hey, how do I do this? And he'll be like, oh, tear this and this. Okay, great.
Which barn are we going to? And maybe for people that aren't familiar with the way that the barns are set up on a typical dairy, can you explain the different types of barns?
Just because we're here, we'll start at the freestall barn. Oh, we can go down in here in a minute, but this is easier to explain right now. This is the commodity bay that's right here. So we just went and picked up our feed. So this is TMR, a total mixed ration. This is what we pick up every single day from the large farm down the road. So it has grain, haylage, corn silage, minerals, all mixed in together. It basically, it's stuck together with whey, all mixed in together. This is really great. Some people, they're really high on grass-fed or whatever. I love my TMR for my cows. It's super consistent. I get really good production. It makes my cheese and my fluid milk consistent all year round. Like, we kind of know what we're gonna get. Part of the artisanal, some guys are really into, we'll get, better summer than winter, and I still see those changes, and I see the yellowness of the cheese products, but this, I just think it's part of our uniqueness to our products. I can't rave enough about that and how the cows perform on that. I truly am a cow person. My why is I want to still milk cows, and we had to really figure out a way to do it. And I want to be the one that takes care of the cows. And every morning I do. I get to milk every morning. I get to get eyes on them. I mean, I can tell you their lineage is 5 generations back. But this really helps us, do that.
Keep it consistent.
Yeah. And then
That's
over
awesome.
here we have just the bedding. So we bed with sawdust. And the cows are they're laying on water beds. They're under fans. There's water at the end. They're eating off the bunk right now, you can see, and they're just cool and comfortable. Yeah, and I mean, on a really hot day, if you looked at a wide open field full of cows, where are they? They're all under that one shade tree. They're not eating. My cows eat all day long.
Right. Well, we haven't been to many dairies, and we definitely haven't been to one that's got water beds. Now, I'm familiar with water beds. I think a lot of people are going to be curious about putting a water bed in with your cows. Okay, so we skipped over the fans, and because it's a little noisy, and we are at the water beds here. So tell me a little bit about your water beds.
Okay, so these are DSS, I think, is the brand. These are a newer style waterbed. They're dual chambered, so you can see here like how much play I have. But if I stand just right, I'm not touching concrete at all, even when I'm on here. And then when I say they're dual chambered, what I mean is right here, there's a seam on them. And this chamber is a lot smaller, so it goes from here to here, over and over. And when a cow gets up,
If you look
she
at Petunia,
first,
if you look at Petunia, you can see, her legs are stretched across it. She's
floating above it. But these ones are really nice compared to the old style, just because when she goes to get up, her knees, she lifts her butt first. So her front knees on these, they never ever touch the concrete because there's so much padding there. Where the old ones, they were just like one square. So all the water when she stood up on her back end would all rush back, or the glycol that they have in it or whatever they have in it. Water and glycol mix. Yeah, and then with the freestalls, the curtains come down or up in the winter.
On the outside here.
Yep, we got fans so that way we keep them nice and cool and eating and ruminating. And then the latest thing we put in was something called Cow Manager, which is the orange tags there in their ears.
Okay, is it like an RFID tag?
Nope, they are basically Fitbits.
Oh.
So I have an app and it'll tell me how much she ruminates, how much she is active, so there's like low activity and high activity, how much she's doing nothing, so resting completely, eating, and I said rumination. And then from that I can track heat cycles. It'll tell me if a cow is sick before I can visually tell a cow is sick. Like we've had it in for about 2 or 3 months now. And I've been able to catch, we don't have a lot of mastitis, but I was able to catch 2 cows before they came through the parlor that morning, acted fine. That afternoon it said, hey, there's a health alert. And when she came in, I could catch the mastitis and you had to look really, really careful to find it. Oh, and it records temperature too. But
that's
like
really cool.
Ketosis cows, like if I drench them with glycol, like you can literally like watch it work, like on their rumination. Or if you were to get Banamine, which is like a pain relief drug, you can, on their temperature, you can watch how long the cycle is. Like it's been a lot of really good information. And I thought at our size, we would never be able to afford an activity monitoring system, but I would not farm without it now.
I love that, especially on like the mastitis side, because without it, you're waiting for her to spike a fever and get clogged up, right? And she's uncomfortable now. She doesn't really want to get milked because it hurts, even though, like it has to come out to get the infection out. And then she doesn't want to get up and eat because it hurts, and she doesn't want to go get a drink because it hurts. And so you're able to catch it before she even gets to that point. I mean, that is really, really cool.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. We're really close to Cornell, so like we can send cultures out on cows. So if she does that, I just take a culture, I send it up to Cornell usually that morning if I pulled the sample that morning, about, I think it's 24, 36 hours later, they send me an email and say, hey, this is what you're dealing with. So it's either, I don't know, there's all different names. So like staph species, I believe, that's one that just clears on its own. Or, hey, you may need to treat her with this to get rid of it. So that's really nice because then you're not unnecessarily treating with antibiotics. And it's nice to know what you're dealing with so that way we don't create pathogen resistance. So.
Absolutely. I love that. So let's walk out here a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about the purpose of a freestall? Why did the cows come in here?
We keep the cows in here, so there's different ways that you can do a pasture-based system. This is the freestall, so the cows are free to roam around. In a tie stall, they would each have their own stall where they're tied in it. They might get released once a day. A lot of them, just around here, they don't go outside even though they're still in a tie stall. But at 4 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when we milk, all the cows go down into the holding area. That's just a place where they hang out for about 45 minutes until the last cow's milk. It doesn't take us very long to milk. We milk in a double 3. Then usually Jeremy will hook up the skid steer. He'll scrape all the beds down, scrape all the poop out into the manure pit. We feed with fresh feed, so when they come back, they remain standing up for at least 20 minutes with that T-den sphincter to close. And then we clean out the water every other day. And it's just a nice environment that's cool, comfortable. They still get some exercise, and honestly, I like the freedom of movement that the cows have. We have better feet and legs. And it's just his management system.
Yeah, I think you alluded to it when you were talking about your TMR, but tell me a little bit about why you prefer a freestall system over like a pasture-based system where if they're not being milked, they go out into the field. Why do you prefer this system?
I like the freestall because at the end of the day, these guys are wearing leather jackets, and if I wear a leather jacket and I go outside, I don't know, I get hot and I get sweaty. Like we were just outside for a little bit and I'm already kind of like, I'm in here, like it's cool, it's comfortable. A cow's ideal temperature zone is 55 degrees. Any hotter than that, she's under a little bit of heat stress. Any less than that, she's using a little bit of energy she eats to maintain body temperature to a degree. So, you know, we just try to create the most ideal environment to let her work the most efficiently.
Yeah.
And to us, that freestall barn is what we like. I don't think there's anything wrong with pasture-based systems or tie stalls. Part of it is what we were dealt with, you know. I mean, I would love to let these guys out at nighttime only, but then, you know, then comes the variability in the milk production, and it just creates a whole new set of challenges that, I mean, we talked about at one time when the feed price was really high a couple of years ago, but at the end of the day, we got a system that works, and it works well for us. Why fix what's not broken?
Yeah, no, I love that entirely, especially since you're like, well, this is kind of, you know, the hand that we were dealt, and you're working on cheese, and the flavor of cheese can be so variable based on what the cow
I don't
is
want
eating.
them to go eat garlic.
I know, or an onion patch,
like,
or,
yeah.
and then once you make that, you don't know.
Back up.
If they go out into the field and get into an onion patch or garlic, you don't know that they've done that. And then you make the cheese and you get a customer that gets the cheese and like, this tastes terrible.
Especially with the fluid milk that we do.
Yeah.
We do cream on top, chocolate and white, and you would be able to taste that through it. And I have people that are like, oh, we prefer yours compared to someone else's just because like we don't taste the grassiness.
Yeah.
Like especially like depending on seasonability. Like, and I'm one that when I buy something, like we have a toddler, she likes consistency, like, right? Like, why
Most
does she like
toddlers.
chicken nuggets and goldfish? Because at the end of the day, when she picks that up, she knows what it's going to taste like. And at the end of the day, when she drinks a glass of milk, she knows that it's good and what it tastes like.
Yeah, and we should pause here and say that no system is bad.
No,
And there's room for systems everywhere, right? Like we said in the beginning, everybody's just trying to feed.
This is
feed
just
people,
what works
right?
for us.
Yeah, it's just what works for you. And I love that you're able to maintain that. That's awesome.
And I mean, there's things that we dream about doing, you know, like we want to raise the roof and, you know, get even more fans in here. You know, it's just, this is what we were dealt with and this is what makes it work. And, you know, I don't have the extra disposable income to just go do
Knock it down and start everything we
unnecessary
want to do.
things,
I mean,
yeah.
it's-
Right.
it would be great, and I think at some point we'll get there. But right now we do the best we can with what we've got,
And you're making a great product with
and
it.
making it as efficient as possible.
Oh,
Usually
yeah.
I film down here.
Is it okay if I walk down here
Yep.
with my boots? Okay.
I want to see that. Yeah, so this is a double three. Technically, it's a tandem parlor. So down by you is where they come in. Back here is the holding area.
come in back here?
Yep. The holding area. That's where they wait. If you're the last cow to get milked, your name is Fantine because you literally will wait until the end. Cows are very particular what side they come in on. So we're in the sanitize and wash cycle right now, but when it's time to milk, these dividers actually open up. So cows will come 3 in each. You know, their head's at this end, their udder is here. We'll dip them with a foaming iodine dip. I prefer this foaming dip. I just think it gets better coverage.
Yeah.
So if you ever like had it's just a disinfectant. If you ever
Yep.
had stitches, same type of thing. We leave it on for 30 seconds, wipe it off. It's all nice and clean. And then we will attach the unit. These are automatic takeoffs because over milking a cow is actually bad. So when the flow gets below a certain point, it pulls it off. And it'll go over and up and over and into the bulk tank.
You don't feed while they're in here.
No.
That's interesting.
A lot of people,
We used to. So
the research over the
little
years.
parlor history, if I
Yeah.
Sure.
So in 1950s, I think my grandfather and great uncle all worked with Cornell and designed this parlor. So January of '57, they started milking in it, and at that time we had dividers that were about the width of the bars here, and they did have a feeding station in the bottom of them. And actually, if you right here, you can see the old. There was just a hand crank auger that came down,
Okay.
and every
Oh,
time,
that hole there.
every
Okay.
cow that came in, you give them a crank of grain, and they'd sit here and eat. We stopped doing that, started feeding grain elsewhere in a different system, and then when those feeders wore out, we built some other ones, and now we're on these ones. But yeah, we've basically been in the same general system since January of '57. In the last couple of years, we've made some upgrades. We just replaced the dividers again, and
Did the bars.
new bars 2 years ago. So
I think the dividers are pretty close to 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
ago. At this point, they were a while.
It's
we
a
do
very
upkeep,
basic system, but again, like a lot of it works, so we just use it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, these are the most basic takeoffs you can get. They're Wakido, I think is how you say the name. It's a New Zealand company.
Air operated, vacuum operated. I mean,
if you are a small dairy and you're watching this and you want some takeoffs, recommend those.
Those ones? Okay.
Yeah.
because we've had those
Free
since
shout
the
out
early
to Ambly
80s,
Dairy
and
Supply. You can
most
still
of them
get
are-
parts.
Wow.
You might be able to find them. I mean, our original ones were repurposed from a neighbor farm that went out and they went up there and robbed some parts off of them and made it work.
So tell me a little bit then, because you aren't feeding grain while they're milking. Usually people do that to keep them still, keep them occupied.
You don't need to.
Your cows don't care.
No.
Train your cows.
Yeah.
Know your cows.
Because they're only being milked for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they're not
It's
in
about
there
6 minutes, 7 minutes total that they're in here. I got a couple of slow cows that, they're just slower to milk out. They make a lot more, or it seems like those first calf brown Swiss, they're just a little slower to milk than after they freshen them the second time they catch up, but they get used to it. Like cows are all about thriving in routine. Some people they have to feed grain, but we don't. Something else we'll kind of get into is we do cow cuddling. So like my cows are super friendly and tame. Not to say that like when she's a first calf heifer, she doesn't come in here and she might kick for a day or two.
Right.
But I mean, it's not the first time she's seen humans. With the kind of the agritourism component that I'm sure we're going to talk about, my cows are very well socialized.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, from day one, they're handled and pet and just comfortable with people. So it's a really nice group of cows that we're dealing with. So
Yeah. So we're gonna go see your calves next, but tell me a little bit about this agritourism that you do, because you have something that continues to keep you unique and specialized.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the middle. We're not in the middle of nowhere where I grew up. It's really the middle of nowhere. But we're not right on the beaten path to town per se, or between towns. The farm is set up in a way that it was pretty easy to put together a self-guided tour. So people can come, they can take a self-guided tour. We try to be super family friendly. We have a young daughter, and when we go places, I hate it like when I have to try to like keep quiet. Like it's just I'm sorry, like, but we try, but it just doesn't always happen.
Kids
right?
like to talk.
Yeah. So like I'd rather like people come, and to me, I really like the education component of everything.
Okay.
So I want people to know where their food comes from, that it comes from a safe space, big or small, no matter what, like your food is from a safe spot. We raise our calves in hutches. A lot of people have the misconception that hutches mean veal. No, it doesn't. And we want to educate them, like, why do I use a hutch? Well, I use a hutch because it allows me to pay individual attention to each calf. I know exactly what she's eating, how much she's consuming. I can, tell if she's sick. It kind of gives her a little bit of barrier when she's first born, for disease, and just helps get her off to a really, really good start. And it's not a barn, I feel like, to me, barns are more for human comfort when it comes to calves. In a hutch, feeding a calf in the middle of the winter, yeah, it's a pain, but at the end of the day, she has really good ventilation and good flow. So right now, I have 4 calves in hutches. So we have Bixby here. Bindi was the big brown cow you saw in the freestall. So she's a brown Swiss, and the brown Swiss have a special place in my heart. She's so spoiled. We have a red and white Holstein, Eclipse. I have a black and white Holstein, Izzy is over there. She's actually weaned. She's going to move into the next group that we'll see in a minute here at the end of the weekend. And then we have Cupcake, which is a brown Swiss Holstein cross. So we do run 1 bull on the farm.
She's like, you said my name.
Yeah. See, I'm working on crossing some Holsteins with Swiss, but they all get first service out here in our yearling group.
What do you mean by first service?
So the very first breeding is AI to sex semen. And then I usually wait about 14 days just to make sure she doesn't cycle 10 days later. If she does, I'll put a second straw in her. If she doesn't, then she goes out to the next group, the age group. And there's a bull that runs out there, and he will service her if she doesn't catch on that sex semen Holstein.
Why do you use sexed semen?
So that way it ensures that I have a heifer calf out of her, because in theory, the best generation of cows on my farm is this generation because it's the most genetically advanced. So I want to not have too many heifers because we're not in a mode where we want to grow, but we want to have enough heifers where I don't have to go purchase them because they've gotten really, really expensive really within the last 2 years to purchase replacements.
So what do? You said you're not in a way to grow, but your cows get pregnant and they have a calf. That's how
Yep.
you get milk.
Yep.
So what do you do with the calves then if you aren't wanting to keep them on the farm?
So our bull calves actually go to a lady down the road, and they'll end up being raised for beef.
Any extra heifers? What do you do with them?
I never have extra heifers.
Okay.
I will sell, like, so I have the brown Swiss because I do like showing. I will sell genetics from the brown Swiss here or there, but that's kind of part of the reason why I bred some of these brown Swiss Holstein crosses to carry brown Swiss embryos, just to maybe grow that a little bit, but that's just kind of more of a hobby than a true money-making endeavor.
So are you saying then that you're not wanting to grow, you don't sell your heifers, so are you
I'm trying to stay stable.
Are you retiring older cows at the same time that you're bringing in new ones?
That's a nice way to put it. We keep our cows longer than like the average freestall herd because we're small. They're not stressed in there. They're not overcrowded in there. I mean, the average larger dairy, I think statistically was like 10 to 15% overcrowded. I think 112% overcrowding. I'm not even at 100% capacity in my barn. It's just, they're not stressed like that. So, you know, we do ebb and flow a little bit. Usually in the wintertime, we're milking a few more than we're milking maybe this time of year. But for the most part, you know, sometimes you lose a cow, she gets sick, or she has E. coli mastitis or something, or, you know, she just has bad feet and legs. So, you know, we'll say you're a DNB, which is do not breed cow, and then, you know, she will end up going on the truck to the sale. I've never had a problem of really tons of extra heifers.
No, we typically...
At one time we talked about selling some, but they were the best group of first calf heifers we've ever had. And, I mean, they're still in there making a ton of milk.
We don't have a lot of turnover with our milking herd. I mean,
Gotcha.
Lately it seems like more of them age out than, you know, have issues beforehand. So
you said age out, then how long are you milking them for? I mean, are you doing the standard, they milk, they get bred, like they're having one calf a year? Or do you let them go longer before you rebreed?
I've actually stretched it out a little bit. We used to have first service be about 65 days in milk. With the cow manager, I feel more confident and I'm having better repro success, just because like we're breeding specifically at the exact time versus, oh, she's in heat, let's breed her. It's okay, let's wait for the curve to get to exactly where it needs to be to inseminate
You
her.
mean her milk curve?
Nope, her
activity curve.
Yeah, like her, like when she releases the egg.
Her ovulation.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. I was
Okay.
looking for the right
so
words.
you're doing more timed AI? No.
No.
That's okay.
I'm actually going away from timed AI.
Okay.
I'm watching the app, and the app
because
is
you have the trackers.
Yes, so
I didn't even think about you having
the
the
app
trackers.
is allowing
Yeah.
me. My repro is so much better from the app. I've actually been able to drop. I don't know. Really, in the last month is like when we're trying to do it. So we're still kind of in the phase of learning it. I've been able to drop some of the ObSync shots. So I'm not. I want to get away from hormones if I can. Like they're expensive, right? So it costs me it's like $3 a month per cow, roughly. You know, so one shot of lute is like $2.50, and
Yeah.
if I have to give that adds up. So I've been going more off natural heats, but I can monitor them far better.
Yeah.
Because you're going to find out soon that most of my time is spent in the creamery in the middle of the day, where that's like a whole nother employee, that
Yeah.
app, that technology. It's great.
Yeah.
So we're breeding using the technology. Just so I was able to stretch it another cycle, so that way she can milk a little bit longer before because when she gets pregnant, that the peak of the lactation curve, it starts to come down a lot of times.
So you said this calf is about to go to the other pen.
Yeah,
So you
so-
have another pen for your calves?
Yeah, so this is what I call kind of kindergarten. So everybody in this pen is between 3 and 6 months old. This is really where they learn to socialize, kind of compete for feed, eat in a group. It's really important with dairy cows that you keep them calves like similar size together, because they will create a hierarchy. So as I mentioned before, we do something called cow cuddling, where people can come in and see the cows and interact with them. And this is the group in which we do it with. We don't want them too big where it's unsafe or anything, but yeah.
Or
so,
too small where they could make the calf sick?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, or really anything. It's just they're all super friendly, so.
That's awesome. They are super friendly. Look at this. I'm getting some licks. You gonna eat my shirt?
Is that Poppy?
How has the agritourism side, the cow cuddling, how has that helped your business? Or what has it done
I
for
can't
your
even
business?
describe it. I had a friend who has an autistic daughter. She would come up here, and it really helped her come out of her shell. And I kind of made the joke one day. I was like, oh, well, maybe I should do cow cuddling. And my mother-in-law went down to the chamber and said something that I was going to do it. And they were all excited. And she comes back, she's like, oh, they're all excited for you to start. And I was like, oh, I guess I got to do this. So we started it when I was pregnant with Lainey, because I knew I'd be on maternity leave for my old career. I would be able to be here to man it, and we kind of perfected a system that works for us, and it brings people from far and wide. I mean, I have great conversations in this pen with people. You know, they want to know more about dairy farming and why do you do the things you do, and you know, why isn't the calf with the cow like they are like on beef farms, and why does she have to have a calf to you know, make milk? And so you just kind of explain that, you know, well, humans too, you know.
Right.
Yeah, we just have really intimate, good conversations, and it's really like, that's the part for me that like the education of, you know, it doesn't matter what size dairy farm you are, like we all have like the standards, I guess you would call
responsibility.
Yeah, or just, you know, that part's all the same, you know, big or small, like you got to have a calf to make milk, and
Right.
we all try to make good, clean, quality milk, you know. And then they get to know us a little bit better, and then, you know, you can go and, you know, do tasting and get to actually have something made from the products of this specific farm, which is really cool and unique to us. You know, it's single source. I just really like the conversations that, you know, you get to have in here. And being on a farm, like, sometimes it's isolating. Like, there are weeks where I don't go anywhere for 2 weeks except to the neighbors for, you know, something, and he gets off the farm, but I don't. So bring the people here, and then I get a little social interaction too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
I think this is a great idea, and I'm seeing more farms do this and have like the open door policy. And so many times people are concerned about biosecurity, or, oh my gosh, you bring the public on your land and they're gonna ruin all your fences and
like
things.
at this point, if you have to hide something you're doing, then you're doing something unethical, in my opinion. And that's what I tell my employees. If you don't know, don't lie. Just tell them I don't know if you're standing here and you don't know the answer. But don't make it up. If you are doing something that you think that they shouldn't be able to see, you shouldn't be doing it anyway. And that's my true, honest opinion. Because there's nothing that we do here that the public should not know about.
And educating the public is only going to help the entire industry.
Yeah.
You know, bring them in, show them that, you know, we're not here just raising animals just to eat
They're
them.
not
and,
machines. You know, they're as much
no.
as my family as the dog.
They're-
You know, like,
Yeah, I love that.
Drop the veil so people can come in and see exactly what we're doing, and we do care about our animals, because without the animals, we're not here. I mean, they're the reason we're able to do what we do. It's important that people be able to come in and see that, you know, the farmers really do care about their animals, and we're not just, you know,
and we have to
out here
inspire the
being a
next
big bad wolf
generation
and-
too. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we do day camp to get kids excited about agriculture, because you know, I mean, the number of people that are in it to have kids that want to come back, or even the number of people that have kids in agriculture and the kids don't want to come back. Like, we have to have more people coming in, you know, and whether that inspires a kid to, you know, he comes here and he works and maybe he's really into, I mean, Kyle's a great example.
Yeah.
Like, he's really into fixing stuff, but he would have never had that opportunity had he not, you know, come here and eventually got a job here and worked, you know, but it made him so that way he can go into the trades pretty easy.
Okay, so we gotta put on our hairnets. My braid all up in there. Awesome.
This is kind of the mothership, I guess you would call it. This is Seat Van Riet vat. It actually came from Holland in 2004. Got stuck in customs for a little while. It's truly nothing more than basically a double boiler. This is a vat. So you see there, it's like a big pot.
Oh, yeah.
So when we make cheese, we'll fill it with about 2,200 pounds of milk, heat it up to, every cheese is a different recipe basically. It's a recipe that we follow. So we'll heat it up to whatever it needs to be. If I'm making one of my cheddars, I go to like 86 degrees and then I culture it. So I put in good bacteria. That processes for a little bit and then I put in the rennet. We actually use microbial rennet just because then it's not traditionally made. We'll cut the curds. The whey will separate, drain the curds. Well, we cook the curds first, then we drain them. Then we'll cheddar them, which is the driving out of the moisture. So cheddar is actually a verb and a noun, fun fact.
Okay.
If ever on Jeopardy. And then we'll mill it and then either bag it for cheese curds, or what I described was just one of our raw milk cheeses. So then we'll hoop it into one of these silver hoops over here. And then the silver hoops come into this press. Yeah, and that's where the moisture is pressed out. And then when we do either yogurt or fluid milk, you know, we have a little bit of a different process because we have to pasteurize the milk.
I was going to ask you that. So do you sell, is your milk raw or pastured?
We have cream on top, pasteurized chocolate and white, and I'm working on a third flavor right now. And then we have yogurt as well, just European. It's drinkable, but yet still spoonable yogurt. I don't.
More like
you
a
know,
kefir or something?
Everybody wants me to make kefir, but it's a similar texture, yes.
Okay.
But it's not kefir. I'm a little nervous with kefir. I just need to talk to somebody about it because kefir, you introduce yeast, and you can get yeast issues with cheese. So I don't want to bring a yeast into my cheese plant when, like, I mean, I'm well known for my cheese. Like, I don't want to create an issue.
Yeah.
So that makes me nervous just when people start talking about yeast.
So you're just doing pasteurized milk right now, raw cheese.
And the only cheeses I make that are pasteurized is my mozzarella and my cheese curd because they're fresh cheeses.
Okay.
So they have to be pasteurized in order to sell them. Otherwise, a raw milk cheese in New York State, and I believe it's federally, has to age for a minimum of 60 days.
Okay.
So my cheddars, the youngest cheddar you can buy from me is aged around 90 days, so no less than 90, depending like when I made it might be like 3 weeks more than 90 or something.
Right.
And then we have a 6-month aged cheddar, a 1-year aged cheddar, a 2-year aged cheddar, and then I have 5 and 10 that are still aging. But everybody, you know, they always want really sharp, but I'm like, we can go see the aging room in a minute. And then I do Havartis, so I have dill plain and smoked, Goudas plain and smoked, Heritage, which is a Parmesan and Swiss blend, Belpaise. I think that's
I know your mom started the cheese side. Did you learn from her, or where did you learn how to become a cheesemaker?
Yes, from her. When I was at Cornell, I actually worked in the dairy plant, so I learned a lot of processing there. Knew I wanted to do value added, just so happened I married a guy that was not planned that way.
He's like, yes, it was. It's grand design. It's fine.
He wasn't really even a farmer.
I had some time off the farm. I joined the military in 01 and then
Iraq
was
happened.
kind of all over. Was in Iraq for a year. And then came back and took a while to get my feet back on the ground, decide exactly where I was going and what I was doing, and then eventually nothing else was this. So came back here and
I don't want to take away from what I just asked you, but I see that a lot. Paul also is a veteran, so he's in the Air Force, and we both see it a lot that people go into the military, they come back and they're like, I have no idea what I want to do with my life, and a lot of them end up in farming.
Yep.
Whether you came from farming or you didn't, a lot of them end up in this industry, and I just find that interesting, and that could probably be a whole conversation on its own, but I love that. That's awesome. So you guys met.
Yep. And then, so I started working with his mom because she was in here with his sister at the time, and I had some cows in the herd, so I felt obligated in a way to help, I'm asking them to milk these cows, and this was kind of before we started really managing it.
Okay.
So I was just helping just to be a good citizen, and I had always, been busy, and I, at that time, wasn't really farming, so wasn't busy, and I was like, I can help. And so, I did learn from her, and then a lot of it's trial and error, and then, developing, we were able to develop a couple of new cheeses together, and then I just kind of did some more research and talking with people that, I just knew the process, oh, what are you doing, or how do you do this, or, it's just a lot of trial and error, but I guess I had the desire to do it. It was just a matter of, doing it. I mean, we were fortunate that, we had this great space to work in.
Yeah.
But the fluid milk and stuff, that's been all us, and the yogurt, we still have to figure out, we're only using about 60% of our milk we're using ourselves, so we got to soak up that other 40%. And eventually we'll get there. I have no fear of that, but it's a large commitment on our end that, hey, we're going to process every day, and this is what we're going to do.
So what do you do with that other 40% right now? Are you selling
to the co-op.
It goes to the co-op.
Our co-op, we are fortunate to have a co-op that they are okay with that. Not everybody has that case.
What do you mean by that?
There are some co-ops that they take all your milk or they take none of your milk. There's none in between.
They don't want the competition of you selling, marketing your milk.
They don't want to be your
their
balancer.
Milk,
And I don't
I guess
blame
I get that.
them. But
I get that.
But at the end of the day, we have stop charges, and it costs me a lot of money to not use that milk. So, and we will get to the point where we're going to use all 45 cows worth of milk. It's just, as a family with young children, it's hard to say, okay. I mean, I already live in this plant I milk cows at 4. I go in, I get coffee. I'm back out here by 6:37. We're here till 5, and we're milking cows again. There's not a lot of in between. For us to go away for 4 days, it's like a big production.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll go to a cow show or he'll go to a dirt bike race, and we just split. We don't get to go away together. But that's okay.
We both have our hobbies that we need to have, and
I don't think he wants to go to a cow show, and I don't really want to go to a dirt bike race, so it works out.
I love that you have that balance. So
What are
the
they?
cheeses are in the aging
Yeah.
room. I know, I'm chomping at the bit, I'm sorry.
Okay, so this
Oh, wow.
is the aging room. So in the back are all my cheddars, my Goudas, my Bel Paises, my Havardis behind you, my Heritages. Those are short-term cheeses. They don't actually age over time per se. Our Goudas could age, but like I just don't make enough of it to keep it. Like we're constantly moving them.
Okay.
But like this is a 1-year aged cheddar.
Sorry, I followed you.
Oh, that's okay. So it's English style, so you can see the individual curds that are pressed in. We vacuum seal everything because I don't have time to wash rinds with everything else I do. I'd love to do that someday. I'm
Not
just
at this scale.
No, I'm not passionate. I don't want to say I'm not passionate enough, but I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And we're not set up in here to appropriately do this in this aging facility, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of other stuff going on, but then like this is our yogurt. I'll show you them in the retail store,
Oh,
but we
yeah.
do. This is some of it, so you can see how it's kind of fluid.
It is, yeah.
And
a
then
very
I do
thin
have
yogurt.
some. Yeah, I have some
Chocolate milk.
pints, but a lot of it's we just keep it over the store.
Sure.
But yeah, so
That's awesome. So we've seen where it's processed at. Are we gonna be able to go taste some cheese?
absolutely.
Let's go do it. Okay, I'm so excited. Okay, so we made it to your storefront and we are going to taste some cheese.
Yep.
All right, so
So there's toothpicks here.
toothpick.
So 1 toothpick per sample.
Okay.
So we're going to start with Deep Seneca, which are their 6-year aged cheddar. Like I
Okay.
said, they're English styles. So they're a little bit crumbly. It's probably one of the better cheddars that I've ever made. That's truly what we believe.
Ooh, all right. Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's like creamy. Oh man, that's really good. Okay.
Now we're going to go to our 2-year aged cheddar called
Okay.
Razor.
So we're just gonna get worse. Is that what you're telling me?
No,
No.
that was
the
6 months.
best.
That was 6 months.
Six
A
months.
6 month,
You
2
said
year.
6
2
years.
year.
Okay, so maybe we're gonna get better.
Then we're going to change styles.
Why does the texture change so much?
It gets drier as it ages.
Wow, that's really good.
So if you're
Okay.
into really sharp, then we have one that's in between, but we just do 2 cheddars usually
Okay.
in the sample. Heritage is very unique. That's a Parmesan and Swiss blend. You're only going to find that here. We had a couple of cultures that are about to expire. We put them together, and we liked it. So now we keep making it.
Different. I like it in a good way.
No,
I'm like
no,
letting
that's
the
fine.
whole flavor like
You
hit my
either
tongue.
you either like it or you don't. It'll pop a lot
No.
in Italian dishes.
Yeah.
We like it on salads. I like it actually if you mix the Deep Seneca and the Heritage to make macaroni and cheese. Like it really makes it pop.
Oh my gosh, I bet
It's a very
so
unique
nice and
cheese.
creamy.
When I'll be honest, when I was pregnant, I couldn't like how some ladies have aversion to red meat. I couldn't smell that. Like I had to have my mother-in-law come out and cut it because I was just like so.
And it makes you. I'm sure that made you so
I had
sad.
another cheese called Bel Paese that literally that was all I ate when I was pregnant. It was like embarrassing.
Okay, so then we got Gouda.
Yep, this is nice baby Gouda.
Maybe.
It's fine. Cheese God say it's yours.
I didn't record that one. Not as creamy, easier to chew. I feel like I'm like a connoisseur here. Like I'm like testing you. I'm like a judge, judging your cheeses. Okay.
And then the last one is our smoked Havarti. So it's naturally smoked, goes into a cold smoker. At a butcher shop up the lake, we take it up there. But it's smooth, creamy, and just the perfect amount. No artificial flavorings.
All right, that was a sales pitch. Ooh, very smooth smoke. So I had aversions to anything smoked when I was pregnant.
Oh.
Anything smoked. We couldn't go to a barbecue shack. If I smelled it, I wanted to throw up. Paul made smoked mac and cheese. No, it was before that. He made something smoked, and I was like, get it out of the house.
I still have an aversion to smoke. I like
Really?
the smoked Havarti, but
That
some
was
people do
good.
like smoked turkeys and stuff. I could care less.
No, that was good. It wasn't like overbearing.
And
that
if you
was
want, if you want to pick your favorite cheese, you can try top seed cracker. These are really seedy. They're really, really good. And I'll give you some jam because a lot of people don't know about jam. And
jam and cheese. Is this where I've been seeing these like grilled cheese with like raspberry jam?
Oh, you went to Dasher's.
No, I just have been seeing it online.
Oh, Dasher's and Homer has it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's the sweetness and the savoriness. So this one is a raspberry rosé.
Sweet.
And then you pick your favorite cheese and put it
Ooh,
together.
I think it was that Heritage. Could you
Yep.
maybe teamwork? Well, I don't need lunch now.
You want to try the chocolate milk
I'm just gonna chocolate milk, absolutely.
or yogurt?
She's like,
You
I'm
will
just gonna
get
like
the-
give you all my products. That is really good together.
So this is our cream on top milk. So the cream will rise, just give it a good shake. You got the prize there. There you are.
Love some good chocolate milk. Yeah, see, I don't know how you guys, I understand why you don't go off the farm now. Because you just come in here, eat your food, wash it down with some chocolate milk. I know that I will be back in with the whole family, and we will be definitely buying some things. But thank you both so much for having me out here and sharing so much about your story. Your story is amazing, your history is incredible, your product is impeccable. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, you really are full circle. So what a team you guys are with heartbeats and engines. This is awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've been in New York for almost a month now. We're about to leave, and I was so excited for this interview because I thought when we were in New York we'd be able to visit a lot of dairy farms, and you know, they're so busy. But the fact that I was able to find this farm is awesome. Like I said when I was in there, not only is their history awesome, their cows are beautiful, they've got the agritourism, and they make amazing cheese. Oh, this farm is so cool. If you are ever in this area, you've got to come check it out. Get yourself some cow cuddles, go eat some of their cheese. I just feel so thankful to be able to have come here. Thank you so much for coming with me. We've got a couple farm tours left in New York before we are headed to Vermont. I am so excited to bring you along with us. We'll see you next time.